everybody. Welcome back to What the Hell Happened to Them? Jack Attacks the Cast. That's right, Jack Nicholson this season. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill, and joining me on the line is the inventor of mouse beds, Joe Vekeman.
Oh, mouse beds. How could I forget that bit?
And on the audio boards is Lev Van Rensselaer reminding me to remind you that you can email the cast at whathappenedtothemcast@gmail.com. And our sponsor this week is Spiegel Spats. That's right, the fashion trend you thought was long gone and maybe never heard of is coming back. Spiegel Spats. Bring spats back. All right, Joe, what movie are we doing this week?
We watched Mike Nichols' The Fortune from 1975.
Yes.
Another 75.
The movie that asks the question, what if Alfred Hitchcock made a screwball comedy?
Wow. Pretty accurate.
Oh. Joe, what happens in this movie?
Two bumbling hustlers in the 1920s attempt to gain the fortune of an heiress. Nothing will stop them. Not even murder.
Well, you know what's crazy is that sounds like the last 45 minutes of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Remember those kind of plot synopsis?
And there was a whole movie that happened before that.
Yep.
Unless that was all Act 1. It was the hour-long Act 1 movie.
In an hour and 28-minute movie. Has big Fantastic Four problems with their storytelling.
Oh, yeah? What happens in that movie? Which Fantastic Four?
The 2015...
the Miles Teller joint?
Yeah, it was just a disaster. With that movie, they were like, how about we spend a full hour with the young group of kids who would become Fantastic Four and then finally get them into the rocket ship at about 55 minutes. And I'm like, okay. The movie's only 90 minutes.
It seems odd to me that they would all make that movie and they would assumingly know what type of movie they had and still thought, we need Philip Glass to score this.
He only did a little bit of it.
I
know, but you can listen to it. It was mostly like had another guy come in and
so he did like a couple of little ditties, and they said, "All right, how do we stretch this out now? That's all we can afford him for."
Yeah, a different version of that film, maybe. That movie was destroyed.
I see. All right, that kind of makes sense then.
Yes.
I'm glad I didn't see that movie. Do you know that Adam Sandler has been linked to being in a Fantastic Four remake?
I never want that.
Just linked. Nothing super strong, but they're like, wouldn't Adam Sandler make a great The Thing? Because
I was going to say, because he's Jewish.
Both Jewish, yeah. I'm like, that's all you've got for you, huh? That's it.
He has none of the qualities of The Thing besides that he's Jewish.
Jewishness. I had never even known until I read this article, these couple of articles.
Yeah, no, I found that out a little while ago, too, and I'm like, okay.
Has that ever mattered much in the comics? I don't...
It really never felt like Michael Chiklis in the Fantastic Four.
He's running around, he's got a big Flavor Flav size Star of David around his neck as he's thinging all over the place.
Fucking hell. No.
All right, so, The Fortune.
The Fortune
does not pass the Bechdel test because there is 1.5 women in the film.
Starker Channing, her debut film.
Yes, perhaps better known as Alicia Florrick's mother in The Good Wife.
Oh, okay. There's another connection.
Yeah.
Put that for your bingo card.
Despite having the successful Mike Nichols staging and camera work that he's known for in the couple of films we've done of his. This is a very forgettable script.
Oh, this movie's fucking boring.
I would even say aggressively messy script. Perhaps a first draft of a script.
Yeah. But, Jesus, this movie it doesn't work. Not one bit of it works for me. Until maybe the last, 15 minutes when it finally becomes a screwball comedy and they're starting to make wacky faces and I'm like, where has this been the whole movie? So they just decided the last minute, hey, maybe we should do some fucking bits and shtick.
Yeah, the movie opens up with this little blurb about what the Mann Act is, and I think to myself, uh-oh. But then none of the problematic parts of the Mann Act come up in this comedy. And
comedy.
Also, the I thought the Mann Act might have been more central to the plot. It really just justifies the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Yep.
You might have been able to get a little more interesting of a plot had you forced yourself to stick with this thing more, and maybe a big joke at the end is like they work so hard to not get caught, they accidentally stumble into getting caught by the Mann Act to get out of the murder charge, and that could have been a thing. I did a lot of research on the Mann Act. Do you know it's still on the books?
It's still...
Mann Act still exists.
Wow.
It has had some changes. So they have most recently said, we probably won't use this to charge for sexual impropriety anymore. Or like, consensual sex probably will leave alone.
Well,
still can't do polygamy. If you're a Mormon, don't be crossing out of Utah with your wives.
Wow.
Don't be doing that. Let me tell you a list of some notable people who have been charged with the Mann Act.
Tell me.
Boxer Jack Johnson. Now, this was in the 20s, and he was a black man dating a white woman, so obviously that was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Poet George Baker. You familiar with your poets?
No.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're familiar with your actors. Perhaps you've heard of Charlie Chaplin.
Wow.
And here's what he did. He had a mistress, had cast her in some films, and then was not able to re-up her contract. They sort of broke it off, and he paid for her train fare home. Paying for her train across state lines was his law-breaking offense.
This is a gentleman thing to do.
Yes. Cult leader Charles Manson.
Oh.
That's what they got him for, the Mann Act. It's like Capone and tax evasion. Musician Chuck Berry. His actually involves some underage people, so that, you probably should get him for that. Singer R. Kelly. Remember his whole thing?
Yeah,
that was the Mann Act.
Yikes.
Most recently, Jeffrey Epstein's pal, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Great.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Mann Act,
More
still
yikes.
on the book. Yeah, you could definitely see the trend of famous people. You're like, oh, you're actually getting real criminals at the end of this. Good. You've
finally.
retinkered that law at last. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yikes. Just all yikes. Let's move on.
Yeah, I thought you might get some problematic things with this Mann Act, which they, by the way, explained gratuitously in the first 10 minutes anyway, so you maybe didn't need the blurb, but...
Yeah.
The only thing that felt super duper problematic was watching Warren Beatty in brownface. When he was pretending to be
not fun.
an Indian snake wrangler.
Great.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson at his most Kelsey Grammer-ist is like, I need to get a snake from my pal over here.
Wow. What was going on with Jack's hair, though?
That. He was doing the Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's this 1985 Kelsey Grammer. This is crazy.
His hair is like stringy, but like with a fluff curl. Like it's doing some weird things.
Mike Nichols is doing a lot of cool camera movements where like time is ellipsizing in the middle of a camera movement. So we see Jack and Warren and Stockard going to the Justice of the Peace's front door. And then the camera dollies over to the window of the Justice of the Peace house, and we're seeing that marriage happen. I had thought this was somebody else getting married because it had been 3 seconds, and it's the first time this device is being used. So I had no reason to think we were jumping time. So I actually thought we were watching somebody else get married.
Yep.
Because I'm like, who's this Kelsey-looking motherfucker over here? And then the joke is, like, they kiss, she kisses Warren Beatty after getting married to Jack Nicholson. And I'm just like, oh, is this like a funky joke or something I'm not understanding yet? And then eventually 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, no, that was their wedding we saw. That whole thing happened. And then the Mann Act came in. I'm like, okay, I think I know how this is all playing out. And then the Mann Act kind of went away. And then somehow it became that she was a big heiress. And that seemed to... I guess they talk about it at the beginning, but Warren Beatty's so insistent that she has no money and it doesn't come up again for another 45 minutes. I presume he's right.
I was just so lost at the beginning of this movie. And then there's the scene where they like right towards the end where they throw the woman into the water fountain, and she's just kind of like, and then they're like, you're gonna drown her in this little water fountain.
Yeah, even the cops at the end are like, why did you throw her in this?
Yeah. And then they throw her in the trunk, and then their plan is to, like, I was getting anxiety.
They had hoped the snake could poison her in a really bad snake plan, but then the chicken kills the snake.
Fucking chicken.
The chicken somehow kills us. The snake is now belly up, which I don't think is how snakes die. And there you go.
Belly up with his tongue hanging out?
Yeah. This is not a fish movie, but I guess that's part of the joke.
Yeah, I had such anxiety when they were trying to move the trunk off of the top of their car and throw it over the bridge. I was like, there's a full grown woman inside that trunk. If that trunk, like, he's trying to catch it, like, and the guy's on the ground, and I'm like, if that's gonna fall on you, you're gonna get fucking crushed, dude. And then also, all of the cars just start like coming like towards the bridge, and they're all like trying to get by, and like they're just causing the biggest like pile up. And I'm like, oh my god, move! Yeah. Someone move! It takes like 6 minutes for this traffic jam to move through, and they finally like, I just get her back on top of the car in the box, and I'm like, God, just end this. Let me give you a blurb though. I get a blurb for you.
Yeah, give me the blurb.
Mike Nichols had a bad time making this movie.
It's your movie, Mike Nichols. How are you having a bad time?
Mainly because of the animosity between him and screenwriter Carol Eastman, aka Adrian Joyce. He insisted that her script had no proper ending, but she refused to change things, and her contract was such that no alterations could be made without her approval. However, Nichols did exercise his right to shorten the script, which he claimed had originally run to 325 pages. This annoyed Eastman very much, and she did not get another screenwriting credit for over 15 years.
We had her before, right? She did those...
Carol Eastman?
Or was it the Monty Hellman things? Right?
But yeah, this was the second big flop in a row from Mike Nichols after The Day of the Dolphin. Have you heard of The Day of the Dolphin?
So I just don't understand. If he didn't like the script, why did he sign on to the project?
I don't know, but
you said The
Carol
Day
Eastman,
of the Dolphin?
Yeah, his last movie was The Day of the Dolphin.
I thought his last movie was Charlie Wilson's War.
No. The movie before The Fortune was The Day of the Dolphin.
What
his
the
last
F
movie.
is The Day of the Dolphin?
I believe it's a George C. Scott movie.
Oh, jeez. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yes, Carol Eastman did work on 5 Easy Pieces.
It's so rare for writers for don't touch my script clause. Like, no writer gets that. How is she getting this?
The next movie I believe she got credited for was, she did work with Jack again, in Man Trouble. Yeah, she's mostly known for 5 Easy Pieces, I would say. That's her big thing.
Well, the 300-page version might explain
the shooting.
The identity. Yeah, that's what I thought. It might explain the identity crisis of this film. I imagine maybe it flows a little easier when you have 300 pages to weave these storylines in and out. Yeah. I have no idea what you do for 300 pages with this premise. Can't fathom what would... I almost want to read it if it's out there. Just to figure out what could be done. And thank God it's not 300 pages. I do not want a 300-page comedy.
It's longer than the Irishman.
Yes. It'd be about 300 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like a 5-hour movie.
It's way too long.
It just can't be done.
That's your miniseries now. That's not a movie anymore.
Yeah, it's gaslit.
This has been named as one of the Coen brothers' favorite movies.
This? Not this. This? Come on, guys.
This right here.
This is nobody's favorite movie.
No, this is the Coen brothers, one of their favorites. Not their favorite, but one of the favorites. Stockard Channing replaced Bette Midler, who was passed over for the role after asking producer and director Mike Nichols, "What other movies have you done?" Cher also met Nichols to discuss the role, but she too was not cast. Cher?
They were turned down, or they saw the 300-page script and they thought, I'm not doing this.
Well, Bette Midler was passed over because she was like, hey, Mike Nichols, what else have you done?
Yeah.
Not like he had made Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf or The Graduate.
There was no IMDb back then, but it's weird her agent didn't want to take a peek at this.
He's probably one of the bigger filmmakers at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Spielberg, what else have you done? I don't know if I want to do this.
This is another collaboration between Jack and Scatman Crothers.
I know. I
worked on King of Barton Gardens.
So they're doing The Shining, and he's like, "Hey, remember when I saw you for 5 seconds on The Fortune?" Scatman's like, "What movie?"
He's
was in that?
Another movie at the same year.
What? Really?
Yeah. We'll be talking about that very soon.
All right. Jack confesses very easily at the end, just very suddenly. Warren Beatty switches, I guess, again, a lot of this sudden stuff, like Warren Beatty suddenly is like, all right, Jack, I'm no longer mad at you. Let's kill my wife. Maybe these are the results of it being cut down 200-something pages.
Yeah. I mean, it was just such a mess. I was having I could not get engaged with it at all. And I like both these actors a lot. I haven't seen Stockard Channing that much, just kind of Grease and stuff. But and Practical Magic. Have you seen that?
No. I've not heard of that.
It's fun. It's a witch movie with her. She's like the mother witch of a younger Nicole Kidman and
Bewitched.
No. Sandy Bullock.
Oh, really?
Sandy Bullock and Nicole Kidman are sisters, and they're like witch sisters.
That does sound like it'd be kind of an amusing movie.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah. Fun little popcorn flick.
This would be one of the last. This is the last movie that Nichols did for 8 years until Silkwood.
But just everybody kind of getting screwed over by this film.
Yeah, this movie really messed a lot of things up for a lot of people.
You saw the script, I presume. Why did you take the project? Why did you do it?
Also, listen to this. Beatty and Nicholson were paid $1.5 million each for this film, and Stockard Channing made $20,000. But she's new, also. But
not too shocked at that pay disparity.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. That's a very steep drop off. But she's the top billed actor.
She is?
I believe so, right? I thought it said Stockard Channing, Jack Nicholson, and then Warren Beatty. I know.
She's in it far less than they are.
I agree.
Maybe not in the 300-page version. Maybe she's more of the main character there.
That could also be another thing. I mean, it's great to keep bringing that up.
I just would be really interested in like what he took out. And was this more female-centric forward film from this female screenwriter? And he said, get all this female crap out of here.
Yeah, we have our two big male stars.
Yeah.
Then why'd you do the movie in the first place?
But I do agree with Nichols. The movie does just end. It does sort of over, and it seems that she lets them off the hook, and they all get back together. It's a weird ending.
Yeah, I mean, we need to see a 5-hour cut.
Obviously, they didn't shoot all 5 hours, but listeners, if somebody knows where the 300-page version of the script is, please let us know. I've got to find this and read it.
Yeah, email us. What's our email?
Email the cast at whathappenedtothem@gmail.com. There's also a section where, like, what's his name? Warren Beatty is dealing with this. So Jack Nicholson's at the beach, and he's trying to throw the case in the water. Then they have to flee quickly, and they back into a car as they leave.
Yep.
I presume that car was, like, going to help. That wreck was going to help in catching them later on, but it didn't. But maybe in the 300-page version it does. The guy in that car is Christopher Guest.
Oh, wow.
That I ended up running into in Little Shop of Horrors remake. But also, in the TV miniseries Blind Ambition, Watergate watch-worthy Blind Ambition, he played Watergate's Charlie Brown, Jeb Magruder.
Wow.
That brings us to this week's Watergate Watch, Joe.
Watergate, oh, Watergate.
Watch.
I can't believe it. What did you watch?
Even better. For Christmas, Mr. Jeremini, frequent friend of the cast, was kind enough to get me this book.
Watergate.
A new history. Look, it is like 800 plus pages.
And you're pretty deep into it already.
For timekeeping sake, I started this book on January 1st. I am currently 230 pages into the book.
That is not bad. 12 days into
I
the
have
year.
just gotten to the first couple episodes of Gaslit part of the book. It is aggressively detailed.
You will be the, king of the Watergate at the end of this.
I don't know, this author, Garrett M. Graff, he read through all the biographies and went through a bunch of documents and is doing his best. He sort of says up front, he's like, listen, I'm going to give you a lot of information. A lot of it's going to contradict itself. But surprise, surprise, all the biographers of the Watergate each have something they want to hide and or protect about themselves, and so they contradict each other a lot of the times. I'm doing the best I can. Getting to the parts that have been in Watergate, Gaslit, it is interesting what things were changed and my theories onto why I think they've been changed. It would almost be interesting to do a little web thing or even its own podcast about why things in Gaslit may have been changed and what dramatic advantage they had, what political advantage there was had. The stuff I'll talk about is just the Julia Roberts stuff, because that's, what we focused our podcast on.
Yeah.
Specifically, her being held captive in the California apartment. A lot of those things did happen, but not necessarily all back to back. She was essentially there. Her husband, Sean Penn, then flies away because of this Watergate stuff. She goes, hey, where's my husband, when she wakes up that Sunday morning? And all the campaign aides are like, hey, you're the face of the campaign. You've got to go do 8 different campaign things today. So she's just kind of off and people didn't have smartphones then. So just by keeping her busy, she had no idea about what the news was. She was not held captive. But then she found out about the Watergate break-in and kept trying to call her husband, and they ignored her. And then they said, okay, just lock her in the house and don't let her near the phones because we're tired of listening to her. And she's calling all the time, and we're trying to have Watergate meetings to stop this, to do the cover-up.
Listening to her.
We need to shut her up. And then she calls that reporter, Helen Thomas, who does not work at the Bob Woodward reporting place, the Washington Post, despite what the show would have us think. But I think that was for a quick joke. And then in the middle of that conversation, as she's complaining about her husband doing she's like, too many dirty tricks are happening in Washington. Then that dude comes in, rips the phone out. She does screaming like, the reporter lady, Helen Thomas, then goes and actually writes an article about, hey, I think Martha Mitchell's being captive in her room. Something weird's going on over there. And then she tries to do another phone, and then she kind of gets beat up a bit. Some things that did happen, but not in the right order. She does burn her hand on the cigarette ash stuff. She doesn't do that to create a diversion or to bring the doctor over there. She just does it as an accident because she's so fucking annoyed and angry. She does not paying attention. Burns her hand. Has to bandage it up. She does get stabbed with a sedative. Trying to get out to a balcony, she punched through some glass as she was struggling with this, bodyguard guy. So then they bring a doctor in, and she's so mad at everybody there, she won't get her hand bandaged for the broken glass, so they have to give her a sedative in her butt. That still was true, so that they could then bandage her hand of glass. And then, weirdly enough, it seems John Mitchell actually didn't know all this was happening. He then calls somebody to get his wife out of there when he realizes what's happening. They don't let this guy in. So then John Mitchell has to go send another person, and that one gets Martha out of there and then brings him back home. But then she's like, if you don't resign from this campaign, I'm divorcing you. And that seems to be why John Mitchell left the campaign. Right on schedule for everybody to want to blame John Mitchell, seeing that all the ties are going to him. So that I found interesting. Even more interesting, that bodyguard guy that kept beating up Martha Mitchell would later become the ambassador to the Czech Republic underneath President Donald Trump.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. I have thoughts on why they might have changed up a lot of that, but we'll save that for some other occasion. But also in this book, Jeb Magruder comes off looking like a true idiot. He just can't get away. He might just actually be a dumb guy. He just might have failed upwards somehow. I don't know.
Failed upwards. Love it.
But I will keep you listeners up to date so as I get through more and more of this Watergate book. So we have a Watergate watch for a little bit more to come.
Excellent.
All right, what's your bonus info?
Okay, so I'll start with when Warren Beatty was unable to stir interest in his and Robert Towne's screenplay for Shampoo about a befuddled but seductive hairdresser, which he had been developing since 1967. He bundled with the more appealing The Fortune and convinced Columbia Pictures head David Begelman to finance both films. The fact that Carol Eastman, writing under the pen name Adrienne Joyce, as we've mentioned before, had yet to complete her 240-page script fazed Beatty less than it did director Mike Nichols, who really needed a box office hit after also Catch-22 was a big bomb and The Day of the Dolphin. So the script wasn't even finished. That's why we don't have that script. The working relation between the screenwriter and the director was amiable until Eastman objected to the many cuts Nichols was making to the script and his determination to make it less satirical and more slapstick. And she was fired from the production. Then the big one. Because of the start of principal photography on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was delayed, Jack Nicholson, who worked with Nichols on Carnal Knowledge, was available for the role of Oscar Sullivan. During filming, the actor was forced to deal with two events that impacted his personal life. First, a fact-checker working on a biographical piece for Time discovered that the woman Nicholson believed was his sister was actually his mother, and the woman who raised him was his grandmother.
Holy shit!
That's a big one. All right, there's another one. That his close friend Cass Elliot died in her sleep, and rumors about the cause of her death circulated in the media. These two events, linked with the film's eventual failure, made The Fortune a subject that Nicholson never discussed in interviews and biographies. Wow.
So when his father married his mother and did not realize he was already married, was that the grandmother or the sister? Did Jack Nicholson's dad marry like some 16-year-old?
What it feels like, right? Because he discovered the woman Nicholson believed was his sister was actually his mother. Like he thought he had an older sister that was actually his mother.
You know what? And I hear this.
And the woman who raised him was
like
his
crazy
grandmother.
all the time in the 60s and 70s. Like I'm not at all surprised. Dropping bombs over here, America.
And also, this movie comes in May, and so he's still going to go work on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which comes out later that year, where he eventually wins his big prize. So what a year Nicholson had. Because he also had Tommy this year. He also had The Passenger.
I'm just trying to find out more about when was Jack Nicholson born?
1937.
Yeah, so his mother was born in 1918. That doesn't seem too bad, but I guess it was bad for the 30s. No, I don't know. People were getting married young then.
I mean, the life expectancy was lower, right?
So he's like, I thought I had a sister that was 20 years older than me.
Yeah, and it was his mom.
I don't know. I'm less interested now. That's a crazy fact, but
it's crazy that he learned that when a fact checker was like, "Hey, that's not your sister, that's your mom."
Yeah, but all right, yeah, I don't know. And this woman was, my mother was younger when she had me, and I'm just like, all right, whatever, 19, fine.
Yeah, my mom was young too, but
what a crazy man.
Crazy, huh?
A crazy fact, though. What if I were told my mother was my sister? Yeah, that would be weird. That would feel really weird.
Crazy revelation.
That makes this episode worth it, folks. If you didn't think you were getting that this episode, did you? Neither did we. All right, you want to do a Young Rock real quick?
My name is Kid Rock.
Oh, yeah. What's up with the Young Rock?
Well, in Season 3, Episode 7, we're back to the main timeline. Feels good not having to watch one of these again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, The Rock is still in this other country to try to end the coffee embargo.
Oh, yeah. We took a break with that because, Christmas happened.
Because of Christmas happened, so we had a weird Santa Claus thing. And The Rock can't sleep, though, because of the jet lag. They've only been there for like a day. So we have some late-night coffee with the Prime Minister. Randall Park has ignored his call because he's sleeping, because it is late at night.
Yes.
So now we go back to 1985 with Kid Rock. His parents have started their own little wrestling organization, the World Pacific Wrestling on Hawaii.
Cool.
And in direct conflict with the grandmother's Polynesian something wrestling league. But the Kid Rock currently works for the grandmother. Family drama for a little bit, and then the grandmother, to avoid a conflict of interest, fires Kid Rock. And you're like, well, okay, that was pretty quick. But now the Kid Rock has to go to the after-school program where he hangs out with a bunch of delinquents. Gonna get to that soon. So the parents did not like the promoter the grandmother had hired, and neither did a lot of the wrestlers. So when they started they broke off because the grandmother picked that guy over them, and they were able to get a couple of the wrestlers from them because they didn't like the promoter. Well, the grandmother then, to sort of put her daughter out of business, gets this guy, Jim Crockett, who's an agent, and he's got some wrestlers from whatever the NWA is. I didn't get the full names of these wrestlers. Let me know if you know. There's a guy, Flair, something Flair.
Ric Flair?
Ric Flair.
He's pretty famous.
Is he a singer?
Ric Flair?
Yeah.
No.
I thought he was. That sounds like a singer name.
He's an old man who just refuses to stop wrestling.
Oh, he's still wrestling?
I think he's 77.
Okay.
Oh, he had a match last year.
Oh, jeez.
It was billed as Ric Flair's last match. That was the event. And now apparently it's in the news. I think it was yesterday in the news. He's like, Ric Flair is begging to have another match. In this match, let me tell you, he passed out 3 times because he's so old. They thought he was having a seizure. I mean, he needs to stop. He's 77, I think maybe even 78 now.
Yeah.
He's too old. Stop wrestling.
There's a guy, Dustin Diamond. That can't be right. Dusty Diamond? Dust Diamond?
Rhodes?
Diamond Dust?
Are you thinking of Gold Dust?
Maybe it's Dusty Rhodes. I don't know.
Dustin Rhodes?
Dusty something. Dusty something.
Dusty Rhodes, yeah.
He was there, and then a guy, Sting, and I think it's the guy from the movie Dune. Is there a wrestler named Sting who was in the movie Dune? He looks just like the guy from the movie Dune. Not the one you're thinking of, the David Lynch one.
So there's a wrestler named Sting.
Yeah.
And yes, there is the singer of the Police, I believe, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I guess they kind of had similar hairstyles, maybe, because I think Sting's hair was like bleach blonde.
Yeah,
right?
and it's like all spiky. And the only way I'm like, oh, is this the guy from the David Lynch? Because he looks just like the hairstyle from the David Lynch movie guy.
Yeah.
He like fights Kyle Laughlin at the end. They have like a sword fight. Like that's all he pretty much does.
Does he have a lot of face makeup? Like face paint?
No. Well, they're just like having dinner with the guy. I didn't see them wrestle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So I just see the big hair, and I'm like, is that the guy from Dune? So anyway, so they have those wrestlers coming in, but then that promoter that works for the grandmother that they all hate, like makes an ass of himself to Jim Crockett, and so then the parents can like take those famous wrestlers. But now they've financially overcommitted to do that, and they haven't been able to get the full returns on them yet. So they have to move to a small apartment, which means The Rock has to live with the grandmother. And The Rock is so bitter about this, he turns to juvenile delinquency that he learned from the kids in the after-school program, and the episode ends with him going to a 7-Eleven and stealing Snickers. Remember that news story, Joe?
I think so.
Remember like a month and a half ago when weirdly The Rock decided to go to a 7-Eleven, apologize for all the Snickers he stole, and got him a case of Snickers? And he said, give these free to the customers, and I quite portentously thought, I bet this is coming up soon in the Young Rock series. Here we are. I was a little excited when he aggressively mentioned Snickers over and over again at the beginning of the episode. And I thought, is this it? And then they went to the 7-Eleven, he sees the other kids steal stuff, and I go, oh my god, is this gonna be it? And then it was it, and it felt very cathartic.
Well, he's not stealing any, like, Reese's or Kit Kats.
The Rock either pre-planning PR moves or realizing that this Snicker thing might make me look bad. Let me get ahead of it. One of the two happened. They're both kind of boringly insidious.
Well, isn't that The Rock's MO?
That's his brand, right?
Boringly insidious.
All right, Joe. Any last looks on the fortune?
No. Didn't like this movie.
Yeah.
It's okay, though. Did you like it?
No, but I don't think I would have liked the 300-page version of it, but I really want to know what happens in this 300-page version of it.
Well, it sounds like she didn't even finish it.
I really need to know. Well, no wonder then Mike Nichols, the movie didn't have an ending. She wasn't done.
Yeah. let's just shorten it and like pay our lead actors enormous amounts of monies for the 70s. Those are crazy salaries.
I know. But especially like Jack was obviously a big star, but I don't think he was a $1.5 million. He wasn't Warren Beatty huge yet, right?
Yeah.
That's
he hadn't
about
won
to
his
happen,
Oscar yet.
But it's not now.
Yeah, definitely not now.
That's kind of wild. I just, like, Carol Eastman, this was the hill you wanted. This was the script you couldn't change a single thing for. This script had to be carved in stone. This script here. This very one.
And like I said, she wanted it more satirical instead of
fine. Like maybe when you actually have enough page count to do more stuff to satirize the man act. Cool. Obviously didn't happen here, but the other scripts you wrote were way better.
Yeah, 5 easy pieces.
You should have did those have changes? Like maybe those were good changes, or like maybe if you had a script like that, maybe that's the one you want to fight for. This you could have been like, yeah, do whatever. I don't care. Pay me the stupid money.
Yeah, it's crazy. I looked at the budget for this. The budget was $3.5 million.
Oh, so it was $3 million for the actors, and everybody else had to pick at the $500,000 left over.
Just like everyone's squeezing some pennies out. They're like, I guess we'll use this for some production design.
That's Tom Lennon stealing most of the money from Puppet Masters: The Littlest Reich. Most of the $2.5 million budget. I wonder what he did get paid on that. I do wonder.
Isn't he still on The Odd Couple?
No, that's just been off the air for like 6 years.
Oh, okay. It didn't last long.
It got three seasons. It was funnish. It was fine. I was watching it. I wasn't sad when they took it off, but I liked him in that. I liked, him and Matthew Perry did okay. Those script writers just got lazy. The TV writers, I don't know what's going on in these rooms. Like nobody wanted to do anything.
Well, they already wrote Odd Couple movies, and they already had an Odd Couple
I know, like
series,
they were
right?
like, we're going to update it and they were like, we're going to do episodes where they're going to try online dating, all the usual stuff that updates talk about. And none of that stuff like ever really happened. So I'm like,
wow.
What? How can you not figure this out in your writer's room of like 10 overpaid people?
They're still doing like the line between like the rooms, like this, like they're like, you didn't clean up your dishes. Oh, get off my back.
No, I wish that wasn't even like they got along surprisingly well. I wish there was more of like he was aggressively messy.
Then
he was really. I know, Joe. What you had?
they're a pretty okay couple.
Pretty well cast. You waste them. No, I think Reno 911 is coming back.
Yeah, it's on
Paramount Plus now. I might recheck that. I think I didn't appreciate that enough.
Oh, God. Here's your new thing. This is your new Watergate watch.
I mean, I'm not going to update you all. It's just like a fun old show I think I didn't like enough when I was, 12, because it was the driest of humors, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I use the quote "new boot goofing" a lot, and I used it to somebody recently, and they're like, "What the F are you talking about?" So I showed them that clip, and it was just so hysterical. I'm like, maybe this show's better than I thought. Maybe I'll go watch that again.
I like you re-examining things.
And then I watched The Littlest Reich, and I'm like, maybe I should watch this Reno 9. Maybe I should stop talking about it and just do it. When I'm caught up on Becker, which I've got like 14 episodes left, I think I'll go to Reno 911.
Hell yeah, Becker rules.
Becker's been good. And I think I was like kind of right. I think Hurley's in like 10 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
So he's not in a lie. He's not a big player. I can understand why I didn't remember him from most episodes. But if you kind of tuned in like 2002, 2003, you might have seen him more often than not.
A featured guest star.
So there you go. What we do? Oh, my last looks.
Yeah, what's your last
My last looks. Yeah. Not great. Not really satire, not really a screwball comedy. Wish you had been able to work together to pick one. Wish you had... I really want to say, I wish this 300-page script existed. I gotta find it.
You're very hung up on it.
I gotta find... I'm just so... It's almost as interesting as Jack Nicholson's mother being his sister.
Almost.
He's doing this shitty movie. He's being told that information by his biographer... And then he's thinking to himself, I just did Chinatown. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
That's very funny.
All right. But I tell you, I bet that sold a lot of books.
I just did Chinatown.
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
All right, we'd like to thank Spiegler Spats. I kind of like this product. I hope they do bring Spats back. I'm with Spiegler here.
Yeah. With their mouse beds, right?
No.
Beds?
You made mouse
me?
beds.
I make mouse
Spats
beds.
you'd wear them on your shoes. They're the white things you'd wear over your dress shoes when you're in like a tuxedo and shit.
Oh, okay.
They were wearing them in this movie, which is why I imagine the sponsor reached out to us for it. Or, Lev got to them and said, synergy, blah, blah, blah.
Synergy.
One of those two things is usually what happens. So yeah, bring the spats back. I'd wear them. My Latin teacher, growing up, his father had heavily invested in spats in the 50s, long after they were done, believing they were gonna come back. They never did, obviously, but now might be a pretty good time. It's basically been a century. Like, when's the centennial of the spat? When are we doing that?
Yeah, we're in the roaring 20s.
Yeah. All right. I'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for finding or getting together with that sponsor and also doing all the audio work for this episode. I'd like to thank my co-host Joe Vekeman for stopping by.
Hi.
And I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill. You may find my features, documentaries, short films, video essays, animations, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at QuixoticUnited.com and social media, presumably with a similar-sounding name. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
Sounds like you've come down with a case of the having children.
Yeah. Mommy!
Yeah.
The meatloaf!
Just gotta put him in school. Tell the kindergarten teachers he's very advanced for his age.
He's not even ready for preschool yet.
That's why you gotta lie and say he's advanced.
Well, you said kindergarten. I'm like, they would look at him like, no.
Yeah, so he's advanced. And then, like, you teach him, like, some math problems ahead of time. And they'd be like, wow, he is advanced.
Wow. Who taught him math? Because they don't know math.
He's a prodigy. What can you do?
Yeah, okay, my kid's a prodigy with math. Yeah, I believe you.
You got yourself one of those young Sheldons. Way to go.
Oh, young Sheldon.
Yeah, young Sheldon did all over the place.
Yeah, so young Sheldon, I think, comes on after Dynamite sometimes, and then before Dynamite, like my wrestling show, is The Big Bang Theory. Just like,
no.
What the fuck? TBS is completely dominated by The Big Bang Theory.
Young Sheldon's on TBS already? I guess it's been on for like 5 or 6 years.
Which is crazy. Crazy that show's in its 5th season, 4th season. Who knows?
It's not that crazy. CBS only has so many sitcoms that seem to be able to stay on the air.
Yeah.
You want to hear my Letterboxd year interview?
Yeah, I didn't get one, so tell me yours.
You didn't get one? Really?
Well, I don't know, because, I can see everything all the time on mine.
I logged and reviewed 250 films this year. Not too many, but a pretty reasonable amount.
Yeah, do you want to know how many I had logged?
857.
Had 754. But there's like a lot of...
Joe, that's 2 a day. That doesn't seem possible.
Well, like I said, that I went days without watching things. Don't worry.
Okay, that means some days you watched like 4 things.
Yeah, of course.
How? How are you doing that?
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen. I logged a lot of Disney shorts, like the 5-minute Mickey Mouse shorts.
Those get to be logged? All right.
Yeah, of course. You can log anything you want. Yeah, I log my wrestling pay-per-views.
Well, mine is added up to 435 hours watched. What do you have, like 8,000 hours over there?
1,332.
Yeah, jeez.
But I watched a lot of that with my kid, too.
What do you think my most watched actor is?
Probably Nicholson.
It's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And it's got like old man portrait of Jack Nicholson. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is the same guy that I'm watching right now.
Yeah, I believe mine is 2. Yep. Old man Nicholson.
Makes sense. Most watched director. What do you think mine is?
It's gotta be like a Monty Hellman kind.
I know, right? No, you forget that art theater near me had the David Lynch retrospective.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
How many Lynches did you watch?
I don't know. It doesn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I just saw it and I was like, well, I'm a little surprised, but not very surprised.
Do you know mine most watched?
No, you go through like 4 directing. I don't know. Is it the guy, the Hasaguchi guy? What's his name?
No.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, he was run over by Mr. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
the other retrospective you did this year.
I did a few. I did Spielberg, 39 films. Robert Altman, 34 films.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott, all 28 films. David Cronenberg, 19 films. Sam Raimi, 15 films. Cameron, 12 films. I did Catherine Bigelow. I did Baumbach. I did Jane Campion. I got a little bit of James Gray.
And some of those guys, though, they sound like they have like 8 films, right?
Some of them
How
do.
many films can Jane Campion have?
Jane Campion has 11 films.
Wow. Good for her.
I watched 7 Dennis Dugan films.
Yeah, well, yeah, that makes sense.
And one of them doesn't have Sandler in it.
What's the one that doesn't have Sandler?
I watched Carol's Christmas on December 20th.
I've not heard of that film.
It was a really bad YouTube re-recording of something that was on like A&E. Because I got all the like interstitials. It was fun. Bad movie.
Then my Letterboxd review ends with my most highly rated films of 2022. And there are 3 of them, and they are all only 4 stars.
Asshole.
Get back to a previous episode we did. Yes, I do seem to be very careful in my rating. But listen to these 4-star flicks. Gaslit, which actually had originally been like 3 or 3.5 stars. And then my second viewing, I upgraded it. Grew on me. Everything Everywhere All at Once. But this one, if there were a 7.5, I would have given it a 3.75.
I read your review. You jerk. Someone poured their heart out in that movie.
Listen, I'm very grateful for what they did. Great movie.
Yes.
And then, I think the one I would actually give 4, very easily, maybe give it a little higher upon second viewing, Tar.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Tar, my highest rated film of the year.
You know, I do, kind of sling out those 5 stars a lot, but out of all the 2022 movies that came out last year, I only gave 7 movies 5 stars. That's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad for me. That's less than 1 a month.
Oh, these are... I misread these wrong, because I'm like, I watched Mulholland Drive here. I watched Satan Tango. There should be other high-rated... These are films that came out in 2022. And I'm like, Gaslit only came out in... That was like 6 months ago, was Gaslit? My goodness.
It's great. It's great how time just kind of rolls by.
Jesus. But then, right, we didn't... We did that in the middle of the Nicholson things, right? Like, that wasn't the end of the Roberts?
No, yeah, because that, was still running in May, and we had finished all of Julia's stuff, and it was like, we weren't going to do, episode by episode.
I think that's what threw me off. It was the other one. She had 2 miniseries we went through this year, right?
Yeah, she had
Homecoming.
Gaslit. Yeah, Homecoming.
It was Homecoming, Ben is Back, and then we took a break, and then, a month or 2 later, Gaslit came out, right?
Yep.
Okay, maybe that's what's throwing me off. Gaslit just, especially since it was then followed up by 8 million Watergate films, it just feels like an eternity ago that I watched Gaslit.
Didn't you rewatch Gaslit, too?
I did. I watched it twice. I know, and yet it still feels a really long time ago.
That's insane that you rewatched that. You are the only person to ever rewatch that show.
I really liked it. I really liked it. I'd
good.
watch it a third time.
Wow.
I would.
That is high praise.
I did. I have the Watergate bug now. I'm all Watergate all the time.
Is that your favorite Julia Roberts project now?
No, I don't know. That one's tough.
Did you rank it?
Because you can't beat Full Frontal. I might have bumped it up in the rankings, but maybe I didn't. Full Frontal, very good. What is my Julia Roberts rankings? And we'll go into the Letterboxd, folks.
Oh, you ranked all the Puppet Masters from worst to least worst. Very nice.
Yeah, it does look like I bumped up.
Wow, number 2.
Number 2. Yeah. I stand by this top. Jesus, yeah, these top 10, 11, 12. I'm kind of into a lot of these upper echelon films. Like, the cliff takes a while to come.
So yeah, you put Gaslit at number 2. I put it number 16.
Wow. No respect for the Watergate scandal.
My number 1's Aaron Brockovich. Always will be.
Yeah, it's my number 8, but I don't know. These 1 through 9, very, very close together. Maybe 2 through 9, very, very close together. And then 10, 11, 12, 13 are pretty close to those top 9, just a little bit off. I don't know. She's actually made a lot of good things now that I'm looking at this.
Excellent.
Yeah, the cliff is around Predaporter. Even the Mexican and Sleeping with the Enemy, which aren't good, are at least kooky enough to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Predaporter's fine.
I think we would probably take Julia Roberts' worst movie than Rock's slightly better movies.
My worst movie for her. Oh, geez, she's got so many films. It's the Smurf. I don't know. It's like Smurfs, Aunt Bully, Mary Riley, Blood Red, Dying Young, kind of Fireflies in the Garden. I think I take Southland Tales over all of those films.
All right, well,
Hook, Charlotte's Web.
That's
Charlie
but
Wilson's
we already
War.
know Southland Tales was kind of the only weird movie in his filmography.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. What's The Rock's second best? Pain and Gain. Pain and Gain was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But you're right. There are a vast majority of Julia Roberts. You could throw a dartboard, and I would watch any of those films over maybe 32 of The Rock's films.
Yeah, I think there's probably 3 good Rock movies compared to the wealth we have.
Yeah, Southland Tales, Pain and Gain, Rundown, Kind of Faster, and Doom. I'm on board with any of those.
Doom? Wow.
Yeah, Doom's something, I don't know. I like The Rock being the bad guy in that. It kind of works for me. But then after that, steep cliff. Very steep, because then it's Skyscraper apparently is the one right after Doom. So it just can't be good there.
Oh, we have a visitor.
Oh, a special guest this week, Julian.
He ran away.
Oh, well. Due to child labor laws, we're only allowed to have him on the air for 3 minutes anyway, so we don't want to waste him all now. All right, Joe, you want to do some, what was this movie? The Fortune? Is that what it's called?
The Fortune, yeah.
Look at that.